Greetings, one. Greetings, all. It is Monday, July 30th. It is 2 minutes before 5:30 p.m. Eastern. And I'm Amy Young, and this is my 60-minute webinar that you've so graciously decided to join me for. Oh my gosh, people are coming in. I'm so excited. If you're here, go ahead and type into the chat box, right, so that I can see you. Or rather, so I can see you. So, I mean, you can see me. I cannot see you, but so I can hear you and know that you're here. Kathleen Doyle is here. Hi, Kathleen. We're going to sit tight for a few minutes and just kind of jam and jive. Mindy, my love. Hi, Mindy. Yeah, guys, as you're joining, introduce yourself and tell me where you are joining from. Please, please tell me where you're joining from, because I always get such a kick out of knowing where we are all located. Oh my gosh, Alexandra from Poland. Kelly from San Diego. Elizabeth is in Chile. I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, or as some people call it, Beantown. Have you heard this before? Beantown, USA. It's like such a terrible name. Like, who decided that? So we're going to play a really fun game, right? Because I didn't get to test this before we hopped on. I also did not finish my intro because I just got so excited that you're here. Erica's from Windsor, Ontario. Erica, thank you for your question that you sent me. Kathleen is from Brisbane. 7:30 a.m. So you're in bed. I'm kind of jealous. Maybe I should have done the webinar from bed. That would have been so cozy. Hi, Adriana from Chile. Yvonne. Oh, Edinburgh. Love it. My brother-in-law is Scottish. He has family in Edinburgh. And Westy. Hi, Allie. So as people are coming in and joining us, and you're introducing yourselves, yeah, I do just want to give you the warmest welcome. This is the webinar that I'm doing as kind of a follow-up to the self-love challenge that I did last week. Love yourself like you mean it. If you participated in love yourself like you mean it, just go ahead and like type a smiley face in, or be like, oh yeah, or do the hashtag, right? So I know if you're here and you get it, oh my God, so many smiley faces. Oh my God, you guys, do you love yourself like you mean it? Did it work? Are you guys all, is everything fun and fine and perfect now? You love yourself? Of course, I got so many messages, right, saying like, wow, I'm really noticing a difference. I'm talking to myself different, like I'm paying more attention to how I treat myself, and like, it's cool, but then a lot of people realize like, whoa, it's kind of scary, because like, since I'm paying more attention to myself, Erica's in the trifecta, you guys. The self-love trifecta. Erica, your name is probably up there. This isn't everyone. This is actually only like half of the fabulous folks in the trifecta. Everybody gets a little post-it note and a little prayer from my heart to theirs. Yeah, the self-love trifecta is the 4-week group coaching program that I'm doing, right, to build on what we started and love yourself like you mean it. But one of the biggest questions that I got last week was like, what the fuck do you do when this stuff just feels really, really hard? Why does this feel so hard? Why am I so bad at this? You know, I got emails from individuals saying like, I seriously didn't know how much I struggled with this, right? And I can relate to that very, very deeply, because I've been on a self-love journey of my own that I'm going to share a little bit with you before we dig into all of the yummy tools that I have to share with you and a lot of your awesome questions. And what I kind of will say a lot of time, joking, but not really joking, is like, self-love ain't for sissies. Because for better or worse, and especially for women, it's true for men as well, but especially for women, we really are raised in a society that does not fully support us celebrating and appreciating and fully accepting ourselves, right? Like, we really kind of are taught and trained to be sort of like self-critical, or to be concerned about how we measure up, or what we look like, or are we good enough, or how am I not good enough? Like, this is stuff that we're just sort of swimming in. If you're on planet Earth in the 21st century, like, there's so many ways in which we're told, directly or indirectly, like, hey, like, listen, you're not that great. And it happens through marketing, through advertising. It happens, you know, through well-meaning adults and parents who need to take us down a few notches when we're these like bodacious, rad little kiddos. So self-love is something that a lot of us aren't really well-versed or skilled in. So if you feel like you're not great at it or you haven't mastered it, no fucking problem, Bob. Like, that's completely fine. You're here. You're open. You want to learn. You're already doing really amazing work. I know that you are. And it's an ongoing journey. This is not a one and done thing. This is not something that's going to get fixed in a 5-day online challenge. I'm still learning so much about self-love, and I teach this stuff and I coach this stuff all the live long day. Yeah, Alexandra's saying this was an awesome challenge. Exactly, because it was not easy, right? Hence the term challenge. So I'm going to be challenging you guys with some of the stuff that I'm bringing to this call. And I want you to challenge me with your questions. We're just going to challenge each other, and we're all going to grow and learn from it as a result. And how absolutely fabulous is that? Oh, Kathleen, you joined but didn't dedicate yourself enough. Totally, life happens. I get it. So you're with the trifecta. So your name is up there on the board. So cool. So happy to know you're in there. So okay, we're gonna get started in 60 seconds. If you've arrived and you haven't introduced yourself yet, type into the chat box. Tell me where you're joining from. I want to say hi to you. I also want to make sure that you guys can hear me. This is what I did not get to test earlier at the beginning of the call. Can you hear me well? Because I'm using these headphones because I have air conditioning on because it's very, very humid outside. Hi, Anne from New York. Ooh, glimmering pink. I love that. Glimmering pink reminds me of Glinda from Oz. Let me move my water closer. Yeah, if you can hear me, great. Let me know. If it's fuzzy, I can take out my headphones. I just think it's probably going to be better with my headphones. Nina from New Jersey. Oh my God, so many trifectites here. So many self-love trifecta boos. Thank you guys for coming. You guys are going to get such a jump start on a lot of what we'll be talking about for the next 4 weeks. Okay, I'm so glad. Thank you, Christina, for letting me know that you can hear me, and Salma from Tunisia. Perfect. And Erica, you let me know that you can hear me. Hi, Catherine from Maryland, but I think I might be typing in the wrong chat. Catherine, you're not. You're typing in the right chat. That's the only chat there is. Thank you so much, Danielle. Okay, so we're gonna dig in, right? So first, I wanted to share, a little bit about myself for anyone who maybe is kind of new to my work online or who just saw this webinar and thought, yeah, that would be a good thing for me. My name is Amy Young, and I'm a life coach. I work primarily, specifically with single women, and I teach single women how to stop settling and how to get the love that they really, really want. And a lot of the times, the love that we really, really want that we don't realize that we actually really want is love for ourselves, from ourselves. And what happens when we don't know how to love ourselves and appreciate ourselves and recognize our glory, right, and live life like to the fullest of our beautiful capabilities, is we will look for love from external sources, right? We'll look for it in relationships. We'll look for it in a paycheck. We'll look for it in a pant size. Can you relate if like this is speaking to you? Have you ever looked for love in a relationship where there was not going to be the love that you knew that you needed to receive? Have you ever felt like, ooh, when I get that dream body, that's when I'll be able to love myself, right? That's where love and appreciation for myself is going to come from. Have you ever thought, when I get that promotion, when I get that fancy new office, then I'll feel really, really good about myself? Does this relate for anyone? It relates for most people. And it's because we are operating from like a little bit of a deficit. Like we don't fully, we don't believe in our own inherent worth and value, which sounds so heavy, but is very, very true. And the primary way that I exercised that in like my teens and then in my early 20s was through looking for love in romantic relationships from dudes. I was boy crazy. I would set my sight on a specific guy and I wanted him, and he was the only one that I wanted. And it took me a really long time to realize that that's what was going on, that I was like looking for something outside myself to fill myself up inside. And even when I did awaken to that and I started really doing a lot of self-love, self-care work, you know, that was really just like the tip of the iceberg. Like I can remember I had, oh yeah, you guys are saying you get it. Yeah, when I tidy my apartment and I have new stuff. Yeah. Oh my God, when I get that new phone. Yeah, Kathleen gets it. Yvonne. Yeah, size, weight, boy approval. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so you guys get it. So I remember actually, like, when I was maybe like 23, I was working with a really amazing therapist who was helping me work through a lot of this stuff. And she was really holding me accountable to all of the ways in which I was searching and striving and looking for everything outside myself to affirm how I felt about myself. And I remember I was kind of rambling to her about something, and I was just talking about how something was just wrong with me and I didn't know what to do about it. And like, this guy, like we went on a few dates and he wasn't calling me, and I just felt like such a loser, and I really fucked everything up. And then at work, everything was like a total disaster, and I just felt like I sucked. And yeah, and I hadn't been going to kickboxing, so I felt like I was gaining a few pounds, and that was really, really upsetting me. You know, I was just like going on this tirade, and she stopped me and she said, Amy, hold on, do you hear yourself right now? Who's talking right now? And I was like, what? It's me. I'm talking. And she was like, no, like this voice. She's like, I hear this voice a lot in our work together, right? Like this voice, this like really kind of like crappy, beating up on yourself voice. Whose voice is that? And I was like, whoa, hold on. Whose voice is that? Because up until that point in time, I had really been accepting everything that I was saying, that like I screwed up this relationship and every other relationship. I was a shitty employee. I was, like a flabby loser. I was not making enough money. I wasn't where I should be in my life. I was just lame and broken and flawed. I really was accepting those things as truth because my brain was telling me those things. My brain was telling me all of this stuff, and I was like on a hamster wheel, just going with it, right? And this was the first time, this one conversation was the first time in my life that I actually saw that inner critic, that exceptionally mean, cruel, critical voice, and I saw it as something outside myself. And I realized, wow, that's like a mean part of my brain. I've got like a bully in my brain who says mean stuff to me. And if I keep listening to that, I am never, ever, ever going to like myself. I'm never going to accept myself, because that voice is always going to have a ton of info and reasons and ideas about how and why I'm unacceptable. That critical inner voice. So geez, I think maybe I really need to stop just tuning into that and taking it all at face value. I need to question that voice a little more, right? So tell me in the comments, let's get really real and vulnerable here, because I want this to be such a safe space for all of us to recognize that this stuff is really, really normal. And this is the first solution, like what to do when loving yourself is really, really hard, is to completely normalize it and to realize you're so not alone in this struggle. Yeah. Right? So I'm already seeing you guys are answering the question that's in my head, which is, do you have an inner critic? Do you have a voice in your head that spews mean shit at you, maybe 24/7? I went through periods in my life where it literally was 24/7. I couldn't win. No matter what I was doing, my brain would tell me it's the wrong thing. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. My exact thoughts right now. Yeah, I know that voice too well. The negative voice in my head is my narcissistic mother's. That's such good awareness to have, right? Like, oh, that's not my voice. That's my mom's voice. I have internalized all the bullying I got as a teenager. Yes, taking the power away from that voice is so hard. Don't you worry, Kathleen. We're going to talk about it. It's not going to be hard by the time we're done. Only one? I have a few of them. I've got like a whole judge and jury up here. I know. It's so nice to hear other people have this problem too. Yeah, guys, why is that like such a relief? Right? Why is it such a relief when we know and hear that other people have this problem? Is because that voice wants you to think that like it's just you. You're just broken, you're just bad, you're just wrong, you just fuck up all the time, it's you. Everybody else is okay, but you have this problem, which is why I make the videos that I make, and I coach the way that I do, and I share so much of myself online, because I want every single person to know, if you've thought this, if you've felt this, if you've experienced this, you're not alone. I'm in your corner. I've got your back, because I've been there too, and I know how painful it is. And clearly, judging from this chat conversation, you guys get it too. So step number one, guys, is we have to make this so okay and normal that we're struggling with this. Because that is usually what happens. This is what I see with my clients all the time is we start working together on relationship stuff, right? And they're talking about their ex, or we're talking about a guy that they're dating. And then as we're unpacking things more, they come to realize like, whoa, yeah, I don't like myself, or I don't believe in myself, or I don't have my own back. I have an inner critic who's like running my life all of the time. And do you know how most people respond? And I bet a lot of you will identify with this. Most people, when they have that realization of like, wow, I am beating myself up 24/7. Wow, I'm so effing hard on myself in my own brain. Their first response is, that's really bad that I do that. Wow, I'm such a screw up for having this inner critic. What the hell is wrong with me that I'm walking around being so hard on myself and beating myself up? This is what I call inner critic inception. It's inner critics on inner critics on inner critics on inner critics. So you realize something about yourself. You have this level of awareness that like, I don't talk to myself very kindly. And then your first response is that inner critic who goes, yep. And that's why you're fucked up. You have an inner critic. I know, like you are so broken and flawed. This is all too real. I don't know if that's good. I hope that that's a good kind of too real. But right? It's like our first response is to then beat ourselves up for beating ourselves up. Guys, not today, Satan. Not happening. Yeah, right? Not today. We're over it. So step one, if you want to have an easier time loving yourself, you have to recognize this is so normal. We're all in the same boat. Everybody's got an inner critic, you guys. On some of us, she's just a little bit louder, a little bit gnarlier, a little bit bitchier. And therefore, we're a lot stronger than a lot of other people. The second thing that we have to do is we have to shift from criticizing ourselves for not being great at this stuff or for beating ourselves up. Instead of turning on ourselves in that moment, we have to be able to have so much compassion for ourselves. So much compassion. You have to be able to kind of stand outside yourself and see yourself in that moment, having that realization, right? That you've maybe got a bully in your brain, that you don't know how to treat yourself kindly, that you're not well practiced in that that's not a habit that you have right now. And you have to see how painful that is for you. And you have to have a bucket of empathy for the individual that you are, who's going through that, who's having that awakening, who's realizing that. Yeah. So, Annetta, I'm seeing that you're saying that you don't have sound. Unless something has cut out, it would appear other people do have sound, so you might want to close out and come back in. Let me know, guys, if the sound stopped working, because I did have a dramatic exit with my headphones for a moment. So compassion first. This is like your new motto. Thank you, Mindy. Yeah, Annetta, try closing out and coming back in. Maybe restart your phone or your laptop, whatever you're viewing on it. Compassion first. This is your new motto. Okay, guys, like if I was coming into your home and I was Bobby Burke of the Queer Eye 5 of the Fab 5, I would come in and I would write compassion first on a big giant, like a wall mural that says compassion first, so you could see it every single day before you do anything else, before you think another thought, before you judge yourself one more time, before you criticize. Compassion, compassion, compassion. This shit is not easy. It is very, very hard to walk around beating yourself up every day. It's impossible to be at choice and to live freely when you're existing in that kind of space where you're letting that inner voice dictate who you believe yourself to be. Because you don't actually, if you struggle with self-love and you've had moments where you're like, God, I fucking hate myself. I hate myself. I can't, which I will say, I am very, very honest and transparent that like, I could not stand to be with myself in my own company. That's a big part of why I was always looking for relationships outside myself, is because I did not know how to be alone. Because when I was by myself, the voices, the angry, mean voices were there. all I did was pick myself apart and worry and fret and stress and get anxious, right? And that's a really, really tough spot to be in, right? To be like talking to yourself in that way and having that experience. So it's almost like, gosh, when I had that realization, I was like, no wonder I wanted to be in relationships. I needed a friggin' distraction. No wonder I drank so much for so long, right? Like no wonder I wanted to soothe my pain in some way. Like no wonder. Wow. I was able to access a lot of compassion for myself, and I know that you can do the same. So let's imagine for a moment, we'll do a little bit of work on this right here and now, that you had a friend who came to you, right? And she shared with you that she really, really doesn't think very highly of herself, that she's really so insecure and unconfident in who she is, and that she feels like all she does all day is just beat herself up and self-criticize. If you had a friend who came to you, right, and revealed all of this to you, and she said, I'm just realizing that I'm doing this. I really don't like myself. I know that that might sound crazy, you know, because like other people, they like me, but I don't like myself. What is something that you might say to her? What is something that you would say to that dear friend? You've maybe even had a conversation like that with a friend. What would you say? This is like this is a little bit of live coaching happening in action. What would you say? What's something? Would you tell her, wow, you're really fucked up? Would you be like, I've never felt that way before. You have an inner critic? Oof, never heard of that. Something's really, really wrong with you. You should probably like never tell anybody that again. You're really messed up inside. Erica, number one response. She says, I'd give her a hug and tell her, let's work this out and get yourself to love yourself. You deserve to be loved because you're so worthy. Who doesn't want to go to Erica when they're having a bad day? Erica, beautiful, beautiful words. Catherine, be the Leslie Knope to her Ann Perkins. Hey, men, hallelujah. I love that Parks and reference. Yeah, I would tell the friend they don't deserve to hate themselves. Abso-friggin-lutely. You might also just say, like, I get that you feel that way, right? But, like, I promise you're amazing. You don't have to see it right now, but, like, gosh, like, what do you need, right? What do you want to do? What might help you feel a little bit better right now? Maybe you just sit with her. If she wanted to cry, you'd let her cry. So I ask you these questions, right? Because this is one way to start activating more of that self-empathy that I'm talking about, that self-compassion, is to consider, if I was standing outside myself and I saw someone going through what I'm going through right now, what would my opinion of her be? What might I say to her? Because we are in the habit, it's just a habit. The only reason why we do anything in life is because it's habitual. It's not because you're broken. It's not because you're wounded. It's not because you've got some deep, dark, terrible problem that's never, ever going to be solved. It's because you have a habit, and we have different types of habits. Some of them work, some of them don't work. And paying attention to our inner critic 24/7 is a habit that does not work. So we have to start cultivating new habits, right? We have to get into a habit of not jumping right to inner criticism. We actually have to get into the habit of interrupting ourselves when we notice ourselves tuning into that voice and go, wait a second, you know, I've listened to this one before. I've heard this one before. I know what that inner critic likes to say to me and what she likes to spew my way. It's not very interesting. I use the metaphor all the time to help start detaching from this, because very often you guys, I think, are very, very self-aware. So this might not be true for you, but for some people it will be. When we first are tuning into that inner critic, right, and we realize like, whoa, I don't think that that's actually all true. Like, I don't think that I am terrible. I don't think that I am so bad or broken or flawed, or I don't want to think that. Why is my mind feeding that to me? We have to start practicing detachment from it, right? And one of the most powerful ways I know to practice detachment is to understand that your mind is not you. Your thoughts are not all true. and worth investing in and worth believing in. Your thoughts are like spontaneous little kernels of popcorn that just pop, 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 pop on the stove of your brain. And you can't control that shit. If you could control your thoughts, you would never ever think things like this. A lot of people think that they can control their thoughts. And they think that like if they meditate enough or something, then their thoughts will go away completely. I've never ever met a person. My father's been a meditation instructor for 40 years, and he would confirm this for you. No, there is nobody out there in the world who does not have thoughts. There's nobody in the world who can control their thoughts. Your thoughts are happening independent of you. And if you want to argue or fight me on this, and you think that you can control your thoughts, then I want you to go ahead and tell me what your next thought is going to be. Do you know? No, you don't. Because your thoughts are just popcorn. Pop, pop, pop. Just delivering whatever comes up, whatever is habitual, whatever we're used to telling ourselves. And, I'm glad that that's hitting home. So you can't control it, right? You can't press a mute button on that shit. It's sort of like your mind really, really is like a TV that's on in the corner. And it's on all the time. The TV is like your mind. And there's different channels, right, on the TV station, but you can't turn the TV off. The TV is just playing whatever station is playing. And we have options with the TV in the corner, right? So if we want to, we can sit and we can watch the TV and we can listen to what the TV says, even if it's on the inner critic station and all the TV is saying is how terrible we are. We might sit with rapt attention and go, yeah, wow. Oh, this TV is like some really entertaining programming. Ooh, scary, bad, sad. That's what most of us are in the habit of doing. But we also have the option of not watching the TV. Just because the TV is on in the corner does not mean that you need to watch it. If you doubt that, like, have you ever gone to a restaurant where there's a TV on over the bar, and they've got like a tennis match going, and then you tune in or don't tune in? Like, you have the option. You can be eating your dinner or you can watch the tennis. You can be living your life and you don't have to pay attention as much to your thoughts. Like, you really, really, really don't. And from what I have seen, truthfully, is that the less that we invest and we assign meaning to the thoughts that we have, especially the negative, scary, bad ones, the less of a bother that they are. Because I don't know anybody who gets to a place where they truly eliminate their inner critic entirely, where like it doesn't exist. I've yet to meet a person like that. Just like I'm yet to meet a person who can control their thoughts or has no thoughts in their head. But we do have the option of ignoring the inner critic, or being sort of bored with her, or being disinterested, or tuning into other voices, watching other channels on the TV station, right? I wish I could just switch the channel. What? Listen to me, sweet pea, Christina. I would argue that you can. This is the practice of interrupting yourself. It's like detaching and realizing, whoa, the TV in the corner is playing a scary movie right now. I don't want to watch that. Guess what? Like, if it's your own mind, you can introduce new thoughts to your own mind whenever you feel like it. You can't control it. You can influence the mind a lot. Most of us are not well practiced in this, right? That's why like so many people are proponents of meditation practice. So many people are teaching mindfulness and learning about mindfulness now, which really is a practice of being able to detach from your thoughts and observe a little more gently. Salma, it definitely works with practice. 110% works with practice. But it all starts with realizing, you know what, if I don't want to watch that station, I don't have to. Yeah, so Kathleen is bringing a really great point here, and we're going to transition to Q&A in a little while, in maybe 5 minutes or so, guys, because I want to answer your specific questions that you sent me ahead of time and also that you have. So Kathleen is saying, my main issue for me is that I don't normally notice the bad thoughts until I feel bad about it. So that's a brilliant piece of awareness, because our thoughts and our feelings are intimately connected. So what you think really, really does affect and determine how you feel. And what you feel then, like if you feel bad and you're like sitting in that feeling and you're invested in that feeling and you're exploring that feeling, it will cause you to think more feelings to kind of pump up the more thoughts to pump up the volume on that feeling. So it's actually, Kathleen, that this is not an issue. This is actually something to get excited about, because what that means is that you have an internal cue that you can follow that says like, oh, I'm feeling bad. What am I telling myself? Oh, I'm feeling bad. What am I believing in my brain right now? Oh, I'm feeling bad. What channel is the TV station on? That's not something to be upset about or to think that that's like, uh-oh, this is a problem because I don't notice until I feel bad. Good. Like we want to get good at paying attention to it and noticing like, oh, I'm feeling bad. Oh, I'm thinking a really fucked up thought about myself. That internal awareness is a really, really good thing. Does that make sense, Kathleen? Tell me. So Rachel is saying yes, because if I don't change my thinking, then the inner critic ends up coming out on others I love too. Ain't that some truth? Right? Rachel, thank you for bringing that up, because that's why the basis, like the largest proponent of my work with single women who want to work on their relationships with men is to begin with the relationship that we have with ourselves, because this is what sets the tone for every other relationship in your life. So if you're critical of yourself, guess what? You are extra critical of others. If you're judgmental of yourself, you better believe you're judging everyone else in your life. If you are in opposition to yourself, if you're arguing with yourself a lot internally, which is usually what it feels like when you've got an inner critic running your ragged, you got that stinking thinking, then there's a lot more conflict with other people. When we are legitimately comfortable in our own skin, when we have an easier time accepting ourselves, when we know how to do this stuff that I'm talking about, right? Like when we realize like, whoa, I don't want to believe everything my brain tells me, just like I don't want to watch that TV in the corner 24/7 if I don't like what it's playing. When we get really good at this stuff, we get to be at choice in our lives. We get to be at peace in our lives. We get to decide who we want to be, how we want to show up, what we want to engage in. We're less reactive, right? We're not so emotionally triggered by things and people and situations. This is like the good stuff, you guys. Oh, Kathleen, I'm so glad. So I'm trying to think. I think there was like one or two other points I wanted to make. They'll probably come up as we're transitioning to Q&A. Yeah. Right? Oh my God, I didn't realize how critical I am of myself until I just thought how critical I can be of others. Yeah, when we're accepting of ourselves, it's like we're not that concerned with what other people are doing most of the time. Like when you love yourself so well, it's like if other people don't like you or if other people are trying to get under your skin, you're like, I'm not really bothered by it. Those are my people. But if you're in the practice of criticizing yourself and you don't have your own back and then other people don't have your own back, it's like someone comes and pokes a stick in like a little injury that you have, because you're already hurting yourself, and then this other person came and jammed a stick in there. Feels so horrible. So let's go ahead and transition to Q&A. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and forth with some of the pre-submitted questions, and I want you guys to ask me questions live as well. Like Erica, I see you are saying I love this. Yeah. Oh, so you're talking about like the channels, right, in your brain. So it is really good to like name those channels. I have a really good blog post that I did on this. It's actually on the homepage of my website. If you go to amyyoungcoaching.com, it's called what to do about that horrible voice in your head telling that you suck sometimes or all the time. It's a really snazzy title. Yeah. So interrupting that is a really, really good necessary skill. And again, guys, it's a habit. Right now, everyone, if you're here on this call, you're in the habit of listening and tuning in and watching the TV and like thinking that it's real. No, it's like we all remember, right, what it was like when we were little. Like when I was little, my favorite movie, I mentioned it earlier, The Wizard of Oz. Watched it every friggin' day. I loved that movie so much. And I remember I would get really, really scared during the part when they're chasing Dorothy, right? And she goes into the witch's castle right before they pour the water on her. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen The Wizard of Oz. And I can remember my parents saying to me, not real. It's not real. You've seen this movie before. She's going to be fine. Like, it's not real. It's just a movie. That's what I'm saying to you right now about all of this like negative internal feedback you have. It's not real. It's not real. I'm not even going to argue with you about it because I know it's not real. And you might be able to say, no, it is. You don't know me. You don't know my life. Like I have screwed up so majorly in the past. Amy, I make terrible mistakes. I let myself down. And I'm like, sure, if that's the version of your life that you want to tell me about, you can go ahead and do that. But we always, always, always look for evidence for what we choose to believe about ourselves, about our lives. So if you have a belief about yourself that you suck or that you're cursed or that your life is doom and gloom, you are going to look around everywhere in your life for evidence to support that. And what I'm asking you to do, and what we started doing in the challenge and what we're going to be doing a lot more of in the self-love trifecta, is looking for evidence to support the fact that you're a fucking rock star and that nothing in your life has happened by accident or mistake, and that you are exactly where you're supposed to be, and that you have a lot to be really excited about actually, and that you get to be at choice, and that you get to choose who you want to be in this lifetime and what you want to do with this lifetime, and that you can have the things that you want. We're going to be looking and discovering so much effing evidence and so many unlimited possibilities for all of that. So do not think that however you're feeling right now is how you're going to feel forever. And do not buy into what that bullshit bully in your brain is feeding you all day, every day. Just like if you wanted to, you could watch, Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street or whatever, and you could get yourself really freaked out. You might feel scared, doesn't mean that Freddy Krueger's real. You might feel shitty about yourself, doesn't mean that you're a shitty human. You might feel really lonely, that doesn't mean that you're completely, entirely, and utterly alone. So, I'm trying to keep up with, oh my God, Mindy, you're an effing rock star. Guys, Mindy's so cool. Thank you for including that link. She just included the link to the blog post I mentioned. Yeah. So, so we'll start with a question here. Erica, you submitted a question ahead of time, I think, so I kind of wanted to touch on that because it was something that other people had shared as well. I'll quickly touch on this though. What are some suggestions of how to interrupt the thoughts or channels we don't want to keep obsessing about or listening to? So the first thing that you want to start doing is, again, tune in. So as soon as you start like feeling kind of crappy bad, I want you to go ahead and notice, wait, what is like the predominant thought that I'm having right now? Like, what is the storyline of the channel that I'm watching? What is it telling me? And label it. Like actually as if it was like a channel on the station. Oh, I'm watching let's say that you're beating yourself up about a past relationship or something that you're like unhappy about how it went down. Oh, I'm watching the channel about that past relationship. And the only thing that channel, the only content that it ever serves up to me is I screwed up and I'm unworthy. I'm watching the I screwed up and I'm unworthy channel. Label it, name it. I would even recommend like write it down somewhere. Most of us only have like 3 channels that we're really tuning into. Like the inner critic is actually not delivering a lot of like interesting, unique content to us. She's actually just kind of like circulating the same shit, like boring old syndicated basic cable, and label it so that you can recognize it and call it out as it's ongoing. Once you notice, right, this is a practice in shifting your attention and focus. So you have a few options. A lot of traditional psychotherapy will encourage people to tune into their physical senses, right? So that could be noticing like right now I'm like sitting at this table, right? So I might like notice like, ooh, what does the table feel like under my hands? A lot of people will say tune into your breath, right? Okay, so instead of focusing here, I'm going to focus here. Tune into your breath. Slow it down a little bit. Really, really feel it like in your chest. Maybe count in and out. Like tuning into a sensory experience is a really powerful way to interrupt your mind. The other thing that I really recommend doing is that whatever you're doing in that moment, physically kind of stop yourself and get up and shake your booty. Because you cannot shake your booty and hold on to negative thinking at the same time. It is physically impossible. Let's practice it right now. Okay, everybody get up. Look, well, first, let's practice. Okay, don't get up yet. So we're sitting here and we're just having like a nice day. And then, you get an email from someone at work and they're upset with you because you didn't contribute to this project that you said that you were going to contribute to, and you don't remember promising yourself, and you start going, oh my God, everybody at work hates me. Oh my God, I'm watching the everybody at work hates me station. Get up, shake your booty, shake it off. If this sounds silly or goofy, it's supposed to. Because this shit, we take it so seriously, you guys, as if that story that you're telling yourself in your brain is fact. And it's so serious, and these scary feelings are so serious. Guys, if you're here, if you're with me, you need to know by now, I lighten this shit up real quick. I don't sit in the like, oh, everything is terrible and life is terrible. Life is too short. The inner critic demands to be taken very seriously. If you want to send her packing, you have to lighten up and shake it off. Get goofy with it. Put on Sarah Bareilles Brave and have a solo dance party. Watch cat videos on YouTube. Adorable, sweet, charming little cat vids. Whatever you can do to like release that, jog yourself out of it, a little bit magic. Okay? Shake those buns, ladies. Right? I'm telling you, this is something, the shake your booty thing. And a coach of mine, Erin Sky Kelly, taught that to me, and I was like, that's so fucking genius. And it's true. You can't hold on to negative thinking and be shaking your butt at the same time. Not possible. So I'm shaking my ass constantly in public, by myself. Cool. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay. Oh, look at you guys naming your channels. So Tamara is saying, I wish I could stop having this channel at all. You will. This is what happens. The less that you focus on something like this, the brain is actually a very, very simple computer, you guys. And what actually happens on a neurological level, I don't know if you guys will find this interesting at all. I find it fascinating because the neurology of coaching is really fascinating to me. But the brain is just comprised, there's neural pathways that are running through your brain that thoughts essentially travel through to get to an intended destination. So this is why certain things will happen and it'll trigger a thought that goes to a specific place. Like you might smell gingerbread cookies and then suddenly you have a memory of being at your grandma's house when you were 8 years old. Because there's a neural pathway that goes from gingerbread cookie to grandma's house. It's like the most generic example I could give. But we also have neural pathways that can develop around anything and everything else. And most of us, anyone who's in this call right now or who struggles with self-love, has a neural pathway, has a little groove in their brain that's been developed over time of thoughts scurrying and scurrying and scurrying and running down this neural pathway that always lands in the I suck place. So you get an email from we'll go back to this example. You get an email from a coworker, right, saying you didn't contribute to that project. You could, if you wanted to, and you will, this is what you're going to practice, receive that, right? And notice the thought scurrying to the I suck place, right? The thought is just it's going down the track in your brain that it knows to go down because that's what it always goes down. And what we're doing when we interrupt it is we go, that's going to land in a new intended destination. So you pause, you get up, you shake your booty, and you go, you know what? It's not a big deal. I'll have a conversation with that coworker before I leave today. I'm sure that they figured it out. That could be the new destination. The new destination could be, I don't think that that's my fault, or even if it's my fault, I'm not going to beat myself up for it. Everyone's allowed to make mistakes. I want everybody to start developing. This is going to be such a big thing in the trifecta, you guys. Everyone is going to start developing everybody makes mistakes muscle that they flex every single time that they fuck up, because we all fuck up all day, every day. If you're a human on planet Earth, you're going to do it. Get used to it. And it's okay. It's not a big deal. But right now, most of us, when we make mistakes, it goes straight to the I suck place in your brain. I am dying at your channel descriptions. I'm annoying and people only pretend to like me channel. That is so offensive to other people because that like assumes that other people don't have an accurate opinion of you. If people like you, you need to like take them at their word because you're probably pretty friggin' awesome, Daniela. Oh, so I think, Catherine is making a request. Would people mind marking their messages to all panelists and attendees? Yeah, guys, if you're not chatting. If you're chatting just to me right now, it would be really, really amazing if you could chat to everybody. Sometimes Zoom will just automatically do that. So check that you're chatting to everybody. The I was, again, too pushy and too intense and scared him off channel. So what would be like some fun channels to have in your brain? How about like the I'm a badass who can do no wrong channel? I mean, guys, that's the channel that I have chosen to hang out on most days of the week. I'm a badass and I can do no wrong. It's just like, it's playing constantly, just all the time. How about the mistakes are okay channel? How about I don't need to be perfect channel? That would be a really, really good one for a lot of people. So yeah, if I was coaching you right now, Kathleen, the I'm a loser, no one will ever love me would get changed to I'm a winner and everybody can't get enough of me channel. I'm a winner and everybody can't get enough of me. You're a queen in training channel. I can't. Elizabeth, as a sex worker, I will never have genuine love. I will never have genuine love from a man channel. Got to change that channel right quick, boo thing. There's love for everybody. There's a lid for every pot. Okay, Annette's changing her channel, you guys. She's setting the tone. I deserve all my support, respect, and love from me channel. Drop the mic. I'm lovable channel. I am deserving of the wonderful people and things in my life. You guys, I'm getting like chills over here. So fucking good. And we're skipping all the questions and we only have 15 minutes left. We'll probably go over a little bit. Oh, Yvonne, perfect, is asking a wonderful question. I want to have some of these great channels, but I just can't bring myself to believe the good things. How do we do this? So a little bit of like a hierarchy of how beliefs work. So like I said, thoughts are just spontaneous, right? We don't control thoughts. We can influence our thoughts and we can choose new thoughts, but they just come up and they just do their popcorn thought thing, right? A belief is just a thought that you have thought so many times. You've thought this thought so many times. It has traveled so many times in your brain down the specific neural pathway that it has become a belief. You do not question that thought anymore. So a good way to kind of like understand this is if I asked you, I'm trying to think of like a good belief example. If I said, like Yvonne, if I said to you, we never met before, and I said, hi, excuse me, what's your name? And you said Yvonne. And I said, are you sure that your name is Yvonne? You would go, yeah, my name's definitely Yvonne. Because that's something that you know. It's a belief that you have. You don't have to think about it, right? Like you don't have to go, wait, what's my name again? Like you know it. Beliefs are things that we know. Beliefs are things that we have. So many people, Yvonne, have told you that your name is Yvonne. Your parents called you that growing up. It's on your birth certificate. It's on your driver's license. There's so much evidence to support that your name is Yvonne. That's what your name is, right? Other stuff we will internalize as a belief that isn't necessarily true. It's just something that we've thought so many times that we don't question it anymore. So your inner critic has put you under this little self-loathing spell because she's maybe told you enough times that you suck or you're unlovable or that you're unworthy or whatever that you just go, yeah, no, I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot because I tell myself that a lot. So that must be true. It's not true. You've just thought it so many times you don't question it anymore. This is why I'm so big on building these as habits, you guys, because building it as a habit is the only way that we transition a thought to a belief. Building it as a habit. So we have to get in the habit of interrupting these thought patterns and introducing new ones, watching new TV channels to start believing it. You don't have to believe it right now, but I would recommend getting started. And before you believe it, just entertain it as a possibility, right? Just entertain it. A good way to do that is to have like a bridge belief, which I've talked about before and stuff, which is like to say, I like the idea of believing these good things about myself, right? I like the idea of it, or I'm learning how to believe these good things about myself. I'm learning how to love myself. I like the idea of believing that I'm really worthy. I like the idea of somebody out there being a really good fit for me. So it's like, you don't have to believe it right now, but you're on your way there, because that's the truth. You're on your way there. Oh my God, I'm so obsessed with your channels. Mistakes were made, but I can and am allowed to change. Amen. Amen. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so glad I'm like going through. Yeah, I want to subscribe to all of them. I know these channels are so effing good, right, guys? So like write them down. If you don't have a journaling practice right now, I would get into a journaling practice ASAP. And I would start writing out what are the channels that you want to tune out of and what are the channels that you want to tune into. Like if I was coaching you on a one-on-one call, that would be a homework assignment. Yeah. The I am a badass channel. So guys, who here wants to believe that they're a badass? I love that as an example, Alexia. Who here would really like to believe that they're a badass? Who would like to have that channel in their Rolodex internally? Yeah, me, a motherfucking badass. Here, please. Okay, perfect. So the next step in this, right, and this feeds on Yvonne's question as well, is that when you have decided, I have a channel in my brain that says I am a badass. Now, what did I say before about evidence? I said we look for evidence for what we choose to believe. So if I am choosing to believe, I'm starting to believe that maybe I'm a badass. Maybe deep down inside there's a little badass who lives in me. Maybe she wants to come out a little more often. We need to start looking for evidence to support that. We need to start looking for evidence to support it. So I want everybody, hi Natalie, I love your hand up. Put your hands up. What is one piece of evidence from your life to support this idea that you are a badass? Whatever badass means to you. Badass to me just means someone who lives unapologetically, authentically as themselves, right? So it might be a different definition for you. But in what way have you ever been authentic or unapologetic? What have you done that required bravery and courage? Give me, Allie, I resigned from my toxic job. Hallelujah, sister. Badass. Bow down. Setting the tone. Who else has an example of a way in which they were badass? Tell me some way. Leaving a marriage that wasn't working. Badass. Guys, quitting shit that doesn't work is so effing badass. I defended someone who was being degraded. We need more people like you. The world needs that. Stop texting that hot and cold crush. Stop going to toxic family meetings. Guys, do you see what's happening here? Do you see it? Do you feel it? Do you sense it? Do you sense what's happening? We're shifting focus. We're looking for evidence in a new way. Because here's the thing, if we wanted to have a conversation about how we all suck, we could do that too. Like if I wanted to say, I'm not going to do this, don't type in the chat box, but if I wanted to go, okay, let's look for evidence that you're a loser. Could we all come up with lots of evidence? Could we all look for areas in our life where, yeah, I am a loser. Oh my God, I like, if you saw the video on the Self-Love Trifecta homepage, right? It's like, oh my God, I fell asleep with a face mask on. I am such a loser. Here's the deal. We can look for whatever we want to in our lives. We can look for whatever we want to within ourselves. If you want to believe that you're a loser, keep telling yourself that you are, and your brain will follow suit and will look for every single area in your life to point out your loserdom. If you want to believe and invest in the idea that you are a mother effing badass, start looking for the evidence. Start pointing out all of the ways in which you've been brave and courageous and authentic and unapologetic. Really. Because like, this is why I really do say all the time, like, you get to choose in your life. There's a lot of stuff we don't get to choose. The families that we're born into, the circumstances that happen to us, where we land a lot of the time, so much of this life we cannot control. The one thing that we do have some choice over is what we buy into and believe and tell ourselves up here. And this has a lot of effing power. I know, Yvonne, I'm getting goosebumps too. So rad. So we're going to talk for another like 15 minutes. I want to answer more questions because we're doing a lot of like cool live coachy stuff, but some people submitted questions ahead of time. Erica asked, what are some tips for letting go after someone breaks up with you, but you know it was for the best? So I did a podcast episode on this, the Champion of Heartbreak podcast episode that I would recommend to anybody who's going through a rough relationship. From a self-love standpoint, I would say if you are going through any kind of heartbreak, you have to be so gentle and kind and easy with yourself. And most of us are in the habit of wanting to get over it as quickly as possible. We're like, I just need to move on from this, right? I just have to make it better. I just have to be at peace with it. I just have to be fine. I see that it's for the best, so I just need to be fine. And we really shut down the processing part of it, which like you have to process something if you want to heal from it. So I would really recommend making sure that you are like giving yourself time to feel, to talk about it, to journal on it, and to also be tuning into yourself in that time and to be asking yourself just point blank, like, what do I need? This is actually a really, really great question. Again, something that I suggest to like all of my clients, a great way to start every single day if you want to get better at loving yourself and taking care of yourself. If you're going through a hard time, what do I need to do to take care of myself today? The number one question that you can ask. What do I need to do to take care of myself today? And answer it honestly, because sometimes the answer will be, I need to sit here and cry for 30 minutes, and then I need to go take a shower and make myself a cup of coffee and go to work. Sometimes the answer is, I need to kick my butt out of bed and I need to go to the gym. If I know if I have a good workout, I'm going to feel accomplished. I'm going to feel good. Sometimes the answer is, I need to schedule a call with my therapist. I need to go to that webinar with Amy. Like, what do I need to do to take care of myself today? It's a really, really powerful question and tool. Okay, I want to see, I'm trying to scroll back and just see questions. When do I know it's high time I cut a friend off? So there's no, when it comes to like relationships, this is true for friendships or romantic relationships, there's no like black and white rule that I would ever say to someone like, oh, this is time to let this person go. I would say when you continue to notice that your time with that person is more draining than fueling on a consistent basis, and that is going to vary depending on, you know, if it's like a long-term long-term relationships, whether it's a friendship, a marriage, or whatever, it's like an accordion, right? Like there's times where you're very, very close together. There's times where you're very, very far apart. Sometimes in those long-term relationships, we go through periods where spending time with someone, there is a little bit of friction. There is a little bit of a challenge. We're going through something, the other person's going through something. We're not on the same page. But if you consistently find yourself feeling drained, depleted, leaving your interactions together, feeling worse about yourself, then that might be a good time to just evaluate. And I would not say like make it a big dramatic, like I'm cutting this person off, but evaluate if there's a boundary that needs to be put in place. A lot of the times it just might mean that that person needs to become someone that you just have in small doses, you know, like if it's someone that you're used to hanging out with all the time and you see them every week, you might want to just create a little bit of distance there and see them a little bit less and notice what that feels like. It's not really my style as a coach, and also just as a human being. It takes a lot for me to suggest specifically, honestly, like to a client or to like with friends or whatever, to say like, cut that person out of your life. Like for someone to really, really deserve like that level of exile, it needs, in my opinion, a lot of the time, it's like, it's got to be a pretty like toxic situation. Like you cannot work with it. But we can put boundaries up, right? And sometimes the boundary, we don't need to jump to a boundary of, I can't have you in my life anymore. Sometimes it's, can't see this person as often as I used to. I'm going to let this person know that I'm having a hard time or that I'm not feeling super connected to them. You know, and if you want to start a conversation with that, I always recommend first and foremost, begin with an apology, even if you're not in the wrong. Talk to the person and say, you know, I'm so sorry. Like, I feel really, really bad because I felt like things were off between us for a while. And I hate how that feels. And I haven't known how to bring it up, but I want to know if you feel it too. And like, maybe if it's just me, maybe I'm just going through something, but I feel really, really bad. So apologize, lead with vulnerability, lead with honest feeling, because that's going to put the other person at ease. And then you can kind of work through together maybe what's going on and find your way through it. How do you feel like someone isn't out of your league? So my first response to this is there will always be people who trigger your insecurity. So I would never, ever recommend pursuing someone that you look at them and you go, they're out of my league. That's what Ken Page calls an attraction of deprivation. Write those words down and Google it later because you'll want to read about that. An attraction of deprivation is an attraction that's fueled by insecurity. So you see someone and you think they're out of my league. They're never going to go for me. And then there's this insecure little gremlin in us who goes, I have to get them to like me. I have to get them to love me. I have to get them to approve of me. So we will bend over backwards and compromise ourselves and shapeshift and chameleonize. And guess what? Those relationships don't work. So I would, if you find yourself feeling that way with certain people and not with other people, I would not move towards attractions of deprivation, right? But if you consistently feel like everybody's out of your league, like how do you stop feeling like other people are out of your league? Number one, doing a lot of the work that we're talking about in here, like the self-love stuff and the self-worth stuff of paying attention to what you're believing about yourself. He's out of my league is a pretty crappy story to have about yourself. So I would flip that if we were to do it like we just did, right? If we were changing the channel, I would argue that like there's no such thing as like leagues. It's just about, are we a fit or not? There's no such thing as leagues. There's no such thing as like status. This is not a popularity contest. This is just about, are we a fit or not? And if someone makes me feel insecure, then we're not a fit, right? Because I don't want to be in a relationship with someone that makes me feel insecure. But we can always be doing things, guys, like if you want to better yourself, live in your integrity, feel like you're moving in the direction of your dreams or that you're confident in your own skin, there's stuff that you can do, right? Like you can take really, really good care of yourself and build up those really like positive I am statements. I am a badass. I am worthy of the love I crave. I am any guy's dream woman. Like, you can do a lot of that internal work, but I'm hesitant to suggest doing that so that you feel like you're on a level playing field with someone. Because if you don't feel like you're on a level playing field from the get-go, that's just not a great sign. And most people don't want to hear that. But again, read about attractions of deprivation. If we had more time, I would go into it. A question that I got is, what is the best way to, from Christina, what is the best way to self-love in your career when you get negative or constructive feedback at work? And to channel it productively and not get hung up and beat yourself up about it. Love this question. So those of us, right, who struggle with self-love or who have a negative belief about ourselves, guys, receiving criticism or feedback from others is so painful. And again, it's because like we have this little wound in us and then someone comes over with their criticism stick and they poke it in and we're like, I know, I am terrible. So working on the relationship that you have with yourself and not criticizing yourself so much and actually affirming yourself on a more regular basis is going to work wonders, because then if someone else does have feedback for you or they offer criticism, it's not going to sting as much. The other thing that I encourage everybody to start doing is to start really, really recognizing that receiving feedback and getting constructive criticism, like there's a difference between someone just like talking shit to you and purposely trying to make you feel bad and someone, like especially in a work situation, who genuinely wants wants your best interest, right? We want to have gratitude for that, which is like, can be kind of a leap for people. But if you can even get just smidge of like, oh, it's really, really good that these other people are in my corner and want my back, because our vision of ourselves and what we're capable of is limited. So if someone comes over and says, hey, this is an area in which I think you can grow, they're actually doing me a favor. They're doing me a favor because they're showing me a blind spot in myself that I probably can't see. But that means that we have to all be comfortable accepting the fact that we're works in progress, you guys. We're all works in progress. So accept that like it's totally okay to receive feedback, and you can consider the source and decide what you want to do with it based on what you hear, if it jives with you or if it doesn't. But I would start practicing going like, oh yeah, I'm really, really good at receiving feedback actually. And I like it when people can point things out to me that I don't see, because that's the goal and that's the truth. Casey is asking, can I be in a healthy relationship when dealing with mental health struggles? Thank you, Amy, attending first live video and loving the content. Thanks, Casey. So my answer would be yes. And actually I got a lot of other questions about this, that asking like, can you be in a relationship if you don't love yourself or if you have self-worth issues? I always say that like the relationship that you have with yourself, and I don't know what your mental health struggles are, and you don't have to tell me, but like the relationship that we have with ourselves, and I would say like a mental health relationship is a part of us, right? So that's going to be something that is in relation to ourselves, and the relationship that we have with a significant other, they're like these two parallel paths, right? So it's like you can't it's really not necessary, or like, no, I should say it's not all the time necessary to just pick one or the other, right? Like, okay, I'm just going to be in this relationship with this person, and therefore I'm going to stop thinking about the relationship I have with myself, or I'm going to be in the relationship I have with myself, and therefore I can't be in relationships with other people. Like, these two paths are actually going to inform one another. What really, really matters, if you're wondering, you know, can I be in a relationship if I'm going through something on my own, or if I'm doing this kind of self-love work, or if I'm managing anxiety or something, is do I have a partner who supports me in that? Meaning that they're not doing the work for you, and that you're not dependent or codependent on them to fix it for you. But do they have your back, and do they support you in getting the assistance and support that you need? And are they willing to be there for you in those moments where you're struggling or having a challenge, right? Because that's really what's going to determine. Because if you have a partner, right, who is not about that, or who doesn't get that, or doesn't want to support you in that, then that's going to be a really, really hard struggle, right? Or if it's the kind of relationship for whatever reason, you don't feel like you can really bring that to the table, right? Like where it feels like, I don't feel like I can talk to them about the fact that I am working with a therapist, or I'm working with a coach. Well, then there's a level of vulnerability that we're not bringing to that relationship, and that's going to create blocks to intimacy. So if it's a relationship that's healthy, where there's some aligned values, and you have similar purposes, and there's support, and there's love and understanding, I would say, of course, how wonderful to have somebody on your team as you're going through something that's challenging and struggling, and that's a little bit of a struggle. If someone doesn't get it, doesn't care to get it, is critical of you, makes you feel worse about that stuff, or the relationship is dysfunctional, meaning it's only working because you like, and this is less like mental health stuff, but like, especially for people who really, really struggle with self-love, a lot of people tend to overgive in relationships. So they wind up with people who are more takers, who cannot meet them where they are. And those relationships can be called one up, one down. It's a kind of codependent relationship as well. What generally will happen is if people start working on themselves and having better boundaries and improving how they feel about themselves and taking responsibility for their actions and letting the other person kind of do their thing, and they stop overgiving in that way, the relationship won't work anymore, because in order for the relationship to work, that dysfunction had to continue. It was sort of like a house that was built on a shaky foundation, right? So then if you go in and you want to fix the foundation, a lot of the times you got to tear down the house. And a lot of people will not want to do this like deep inner work, because they know this is going to change my relationship if I do this, and my relationship might not survive. If your relationship doesn't survive with you moving in a healthier, more aligned direction in your life, then that's not the right relationship. Oh, good. Light bulb moments. Yeah. So guys, we have to wrap up. I did not get through all the questions, but we covered a lot, and there was so much back and forth. This was so fun. So before we sign off, I wanted to let you know that if you haven't signed up for the Self-Love Trifecta already, if you liked this conversation, if you got a lot out of it, if you want to continue doing this kind of work, the Self-Love Trifecta is my 4-week group coaching program that you can sign on for. The early bird pricing is still available through tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm pulling up the link right now so that if you want to hop over and join, you can. A lot of the ladies on this call are already in here, so I just went ahead. Let me see if I did that again, because I think I maybe sent it just to Alexia. So a lot of people are already in the trifecta, which is so, so exciting and cool. But if you're not, we would absolutely love to have you. It's an amazing, amazing group of people. We have a ton of amazing women, and we have a few really awesome baller guys who are doing this. So it's really, really going to be worth it to take advantage, because if you sign up tonight before 10 p.m. Eastern, it's almost 50% off. So the program tomorrow is going to be $79 for the full month. Tonight is just $47. For a full 4 weeks of group coaching, video content and community challenges. Annetta, you're already doing your trust jar. Oh my God, I'm so excited. It is all ages, Allie. We've got teens all the way up to 50s, 60s. So yeah, there's no age requirements. You don't have to be single. If you're married, if you're a mom, we got a lot of moms in there. We've got people who are coupled up. It's a really cool group. It's just individuals who are all really wanting to work on themselves. So I wish I had more time for more questions right now, you guys, but I have to jump off. But this was absolutely amazing. You know that you can always make video requests to me, right? You know that you can, if you email me, you'll receive an auto reply that has a little form that you can fill out to make a video request so that I can turn your question into a blog post or something for Q&A me. Thank you so much for joining tonight. I can't wait to get to work with so many of you in the Self-Love Trifecta this August. One more time, I'll just post the link. So if you're curious to learn more, you can check it out. Oh, Alexia, we would be so happy to have you. I adore each and every one of you. Listen, if you don't love yourself right now, you're just confused and you're not seeing yourself clearly. That's totally cool. You're on your way. And that's what I want you to be telling yourself and believing. I'm on my way. I'm getting better at this. It takes years to undo a lot of this wacky learning. People tell you it can be like a one and done thing. Those people are lying. But the best thing that we can do is have our own back and commit to the practices and decide that we're going to be the ones to do it, because no one can do this stuff for you. It makes a world of difference. It makes life so much more enjoyable, I promise you. So until next time, I adore all of you. Have a great night, guys.